Hello, and thanks for checking out the video. Today I'm doing a bit of hill walking really, and hoping to end up on some access land, some woodland for the night, but I've only ever driven past it, never really done a proper recce, so always a little bit on edge to see what it's like. You can never know exactly what it's like, as you probably know, till you actually get on site, you know. So we'll see how it goes. Bit of a rumble amongst the sheep. There's a National Trust car park a couple of 100 yards behind me. Consequently, this part of the walk is really popular, you know, really busy with members of the public. Yeah, the camera doesn't do it justice, but I think I understand why this part of the walk's extremely busy. Yeah, nice. They put steps in this bit. This is actually a high point on the walk I'm doing today, and I don't just mean the 240 metres either. I don't know if you can see it over there, the English Channel, you know. I can see in the misty distance the Isle of Wight. We've got to be more than 15 miles inland. And the visibility is not that good today, so yeah, that's pretty amazing. Just stopped in an area, well, I'd call it like scrubland really. It's mainly sort of tangled hawthorn and grassland, but I just wanted to stop to have a brew and explain that I'm trialling out a different fire bowl. So many people kindly commented some of the videos and mentioned that they either thought the fire bowl I was using was a vegetable steamer, or they suggested using a vegetable steamer as an alternative. And I have seen it used on the internet a few times, a vegetable steamer. So this is one I got off the internet, and they come in cheaper than the Uco fire bowl. I mean, this was, I think, £7 including delivery, and the Uco fire bowl is probably at least 20, I guess now. This one's a sort of medium size, so it's a bit smaller. The bowl is actually smaller than the Uco fire bowl, which I think comes in at about a foot diameter. This is probably closer to, I don't know, 9 or 10 inches, maybe 9 inches diameter. So it's smaller, but I did fire it up in the garden just to see how it would cope, you know, before I took it out in the field, just in case it decided to warp completely or do something crazy like melt. And it seemed to work with half an hour's fire in it. And I've done the same thing that I did on my Uco fire bowl. I've drifted out the small stubby little legs that it sits on, and this had 3 of them. The Uco fire bowl has got 4, which sit it, you know, 3/4 of an inch off the ground, which isn't really enough to lift it up to protect it from making a fire scar. So I've made an adjustment. I've knocked out the small little studs which were feet, and I've used some small bolts. Had to drill out the hole slightly, so it's a M5 bolt in to replace it, just to lift it up a little bit higher off the ground, and reduce the damage of the fire scar. You know, you can rest them on the ground like this, but we've all seen the barbecues in the park, the disposable barbecues in the park, leaving their ubiquitous sort of rectangular shaped fire scar, you know. So the more you can get your fire off the ground, either on rocks or on some kind of metallic legs like this, you know, not even if you can't, if you're in the forest and you're clearing away to soil, you might not see anything, but that intense baking heat of a fire that's directly in contact with the ground is, you know, even if you can't visibly see anything, I'm sure that the massive biodiversity in that little bit of soil there is being killed off, and it'll take a while for it to come back. So yeah, you know, if you can lift your fire off the ground a little bit, it definitely massively reduces sort of any damage to the soil below. Of course, another really big advantage of having, you know, legs that come off the actual unit is the packing away. It's always things that sort of stick out like legs and handles that cause problems with packing or catch on things and cause damage either to the item itself or other bits of kit. So yeah, removable legs is good for that as well. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. loads of deer. Beautiful forest, loads of deer, loads of yew trees as well. Loads and loads of yew trees. Yeah, it feels a special place. I'm glad I drove past it and made note of it in the car. I just can't get away from yew trees. I love them to bits, you know, beautiful, and there's just so many of them here, but I just don't fancy spending the night with them. Well, it started to rain as I was putting this up, so I suppose the timing is pretty good. I'm using this old oak tree. I'm hoping he'll protect me from these yew trees. I've got a lot around me, but I'm in a little area where there's not too many of them and they're not too close. I know it's all legend and rumours and things like that, but they do give me the willies. And yeah, I just want to wake up in the morning roughly the same as what I was when I went to sleep. If it would only stop raining, I'll go out and get some timber. Gonna get dinner on because it's dark and dank and we're losing light. It's just rice, cooked rice, and stir fry some vegetables tonight. Stick them on top, so the rice can go in the pot. I threw in some soya chunks in this as well, just for a bit of extra protein, and they'll cook up with the rice. Cover that with water and a little bit more. Get that on. Just going to prep up some of the fresh vegetables. Going to have chunky fresh vegetables and try and sort of, if the fire lets us, try and stir fry them down. A bit of seasoning, a bit of soy sauce. Being a smaller fire bowl than my usual one, a little bit concerned it might pile up with ash to the point where it's overflowing, because I have to keep the fire going all night to keep me warm, because I've got very little in the way of bedding or any kind of mattress or anything, just a sheepskin rug to sleep on, so I rely on the fire and load it through the night every hour or so. Yeah, just hope that this very small vegetable steamer doesn't start piling over the sides with the ash and the hot embers, but we'll just have to try it and see. The rice is cooked now, so try and decant it into the, if I can, into the lid of this pot for safekeeping and for eating. We'll get some coconut oil and put that in there. A little coconut oil for the frying. It's not a liquid, it's usually solid in your pack unless it's a really hot summer's day, so if there is an accident it doesn't run everywhere. It's quite handy. Now we'll use the precarious tiny plate and tip it up and hopefully aim these fresh vegetables, and they're all fresh today. Unusual for me, I haven't brought any dehydrated stuff. Get those in the pan, sorry. It's a bit of garlic gone for a Burton. Right, now those vegetables have started to do their thing. Put a bit of sweet pepper in as well. Nice and chunky. And even got the luxury of fresh mushrooms today. I normally bring mushrooms that are dehydrated at home, which are fine. But yeah, to fry down all these vegetables, it makes sense to have fresh ones. So yeah, we can cut these up pretty chunky as well. To stop these mushrooms getting crushed in the pack, I actually pack them in the pot. Pot's got quite a tall lid. There was space at the top to put these mushrooms. Things like mushrooms are very vulnerable to bounce around your pack and they'll turn to mush, but inside this pot they were pretty secure, and they've come out smiling. The seasoning. Smells nice. Yeah, fried vegetables on rice is nice. Well, that was a chilly night for the lower part of my body, which gets stuck down at the end of the this shelter, this plough point type setup, and that the very end of it stays cold, so the heat doesn't seem to distribute that well through it. You know, the top half of my body is fine by the fire, keep the fire going all night. The heat doesn't seem to filter out too well right down at where my toes are. So yeah, cold feet for a lot of the night. A little bit disturbed. That's the way it is sometimes when you're wild camping, I think. Yeah, this little vegetable steamer did its job. So you can use a vegetable steamer as a kind of a portable, collapsible fireball. Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I noticed it was a bit smaller than the Uco fireball, but this is a medium-sized vegetable steamer. I think you can get bigger ones. And yeah, it's worthwhile having some kind of fireball, even though in the woods it's a bit easier perhaps to cover over any fire scar, but if you've raised your fire off the ground, you don't get that deep baking effect in the earth, where it really dries out the earth and probably kills the flora and fauna in that part. You know, it's just you'll probably still get some damage done there over a whole night of burning, but much less if your fire's raised off the ground and there's a bit of airflow underneath it. You know, it's all part of trying to leave no trace, I suppose. Yeah, so reasonable and certainly cheap bit of kit. And this one here is being smaller, of course, and the legs coming off will pack out a lot easier as well. Lightweight too.